Hey guys, SpinDoc here, riding solo today. Sosa's tied up, so gonna go solo today for a quick version because there's not a whole lot of marquee games. There's actually one top 25 game tonight, but College Hoops RX is live, so we'll have some free plays for you. Promise you free content every day, so I'm gonna deliver on that. So real quick to kind of just get into real quickly reviewing yesterday. Overall, free plays 1 and 2 again. Annoying night. The VIP was phenomenal, but from a free play perspective, Stanford totally sold that first half. I said yesterday that if they used Renaud, if they went with Renaud, then they would be fine. And lo and behold, they didn't use them. They didn't use them in the first half. Only 11 shots. Got to the free throw line 7 times, but only 11 shots from the floor. Multiple other guys took 9, 8, 9, 10 shots. That's just not who they are on offense. They relied way too much on their guards. And even though you have a Wake Forest team that was traveling across the country, that was the one thing that I mentioned yesterday, that if they didn't use Renaud and they couldn't get him the ball in spots where he could score, they might be in trouble. Unfortunately, they were. VMI cashed, and then South Alabama just laid the absolute whipping down on Coastal Carolina. Pretty much scored whenever they wanted to. A very disappointing effort at home for the Chancelloteers. But you know. VIP actually rocked it. VIP last night was 5-1. So, but going to get back on track today with just a few free plays. And you can see my subtitle there is Return of the MAC. And what I mean is my conference is back. Actually, both of my conferences are back. The Coastal and the MAC, they both play tonight. And that is where our 2 free plays will come from today. So the first one that we have is at 7 p.m. Eastern. We have Iona making one of the longest, actually the longest road trip of the conference season for them, going from New Rochelle, New York to Emmitsburg, Maryland. It's about almost a 5-hour trip for a 7 p.m. Eastern tip. And you have actually it's Mount St. Mary's that is laying the 1.5, not Iona. But so Mount St. Mary's slight favorite. It's actually gone in a few different directions here. So Mount St. Mary's has been favored. Iona's been favored. It's kind of bounced back and forth between the pick'em with a total of 140. And for this one was actually a pretty easy take for the Mountaineers to me. So the one problem that I have with Iona is their inability to shoot on the road. And so Iona just their overall shooting is poor. You can see 344th in effective field goal percentage, 316th in 3-point percentage. Somehow that gets worse on the road. They've had a few games where they've shot a little bit better, but this team just does not have any consistency in making jump shots. They also don't have much consistency just shooting, period. And that's going to, I think, hamper them tonight against a Mount St. Mary's team that over their last 3 games has held teams to 45.5% effective field goal percentage. Mountain does a really good job of closing out on the wings. They do a really good job of guarding the basket. And while they don't have a ton of size, neither does Iona. So Iona is a very, very guard-oriented team. And the one thing that the Mount is good at, you can see down here some of their wings, 6'7", 6'9", 6'7", 6'8". A lot of decent length on the wings to help neutralize the Iona guard attack. So on offense, the one thing that Iona does is, you can probably see it here on the KenPom, that Mount St. Mary's can struggle with is turnovers. 21.4% turnover rate, 24.1 for Iona. They do force turnovers exceptionally well. However, they force turnovers a lot better on their home floor. Iona, and then over their last 3, they have not, even though they've won several of those, they have not forced as many. They're only forcing 13.3. So forced turnover rate is down, and that's despite playing two of the more turnover heavy teams in the MAC in Siena and Fairfield. Actually, Siena, Fairfield, and Mount St. Mary's, if you see here going to conference, are the bottom three teams when it comes to turnover rate in conference play. So it's the one weapon that Iona has. The problem that they have is that on the road, they have issues converting those turnovers and converting those turnovers to points. Mount St. Mary's defense as well doesn't foul very much. You can see 66th in overall free throws attempted or field goals attempted, number one in the conference. They're allowing the least free throws per game in conference play. So you have an Iona team where, yes, they have, so they've won 4 of their last 5, but let's pump the brakes on that a little bit. I'm not trying to diminish them because there were actually fans earlier in the year that were kind of calling for Tobin Anderson's head and saying, like, was he the guy to replace Patino after he left for St. John's? I believe in Tobin Anderson. I believe that Tobin ball, which if you don't know what Tobin ball is, it's what Fairleigh Dickinson played when they upset Purdue. It's his style. It's a lot of guys. You can see they're 26th in percentage of minutes from their bench. They get almost 40% of their minutes from the bench. They have very little two-foul participation, which means if guys get in foul trouble, they just rotate guys in. The problem that they were having is that he wasn't finding the right combinations of those guys in certain spots. Now, while they've won 4 out of their last 5, their opponents are Canisius, who is literally statistically one of the worst teams in the country, Siena, who is one of the most turnover-prone teams in college basketball and doesn't have the defense that Mount St. Mary's does, and it was on their home floor, and Fairfield, who we're going to get to their game in just a moment, and you'll see what I mean about why, yeah, a 23-point win that Iona had is good, but it might not be as impressive as it seems on their home floor. Their one loss was to arch rival Manhattan by a ton. And so now they got to go almost 5 hours on a long road trip to a place where they haven't had a whole lot of success. Mount St. Mary's, they've been decent on their home floor. They shoot better on their home floor. They for sure defend better on their home floor. So for me, I look at this game as with a short spread. You're almost getting it at a pick 'em. I will roll with Mount St. Mary's here. It's -1.5 in a lot of places. If you want less risk, it's not really like that much different to take the money line. I think right now it's going off at -112, -112 to -120-ish, somewhere around there. So if you want less risk, you can take them to win, but really you're risking a few extra cents of juice to protect yourself against one outcome, and that is Mount St. Mary's wins by 1. So if you want to do it, you can, but the official free play here will be Mount St. Mary's to -1.5. To me, there's just too much going against Iona here for the turnovers to make up. They have had multiple just horrific shooting performances on the road. So forcing turnovers doesn't do you a whole lot of good if you can't put the ball in the hole. So that will be the first one. The second one will also be, I said, return to the MAC. And so we are going to stay with the MAC, and we are going to go to Marist and Fairfield. Before we do, I know it's a short show, but a few people in the chat here. Moneybag, what's up, my man? Thank you for tuning in. Salute to you too. Trying to rob FanDuel like we all are. Good morning to you as well, my guy. Good morning to everybody. I see we're over 100 now live, so appreciate y'all. If you haven't yet, please give this a like. Please follow Daily Bread. Please follow me. All the links, etc., have for you very, very shortly here. And so for this one, we're going to go to Fairfield, Connecticut, and we have. Oh man. Those that are in VIP know what my thoughts are about they know what my thoughts are about the Marist. It's a running joke. Shout out to Steven if he happens to be watching this one. But shout out to VIP because we have interesting thoughts on Marist that I'll save for another time. But But basketball wise, this is a game where Marist is laying 5.5. Total is 100 at 131.5. And even though it's kind of the gray area for numbers for a road team, I gotta roll with the Red Foxes here. I have to, and there's multiple reasons why for this one. First and foremost is you can see here Fairfield's defense is just god awful. Hideous defense. They've allowed over 80 or allowed 70 or over 75 or more points in 5 straight games. They've only won one of those, and that was Manhattan in overtime, where they hit a few lucky shots in the last 5 minutes, even just to send it to overtime. So they shot the lights out that night, which they're not likely to do this night against a Marist defense that I'll get to in a moment. But I just have allowed points in bunches. They're 300 and sub 300, sub 340 in nearly every shooting category. Home, road, it doesn't really make a difference. This defense is just flat out poor. They don't have a lot of length on the wings. They don't have a whole lot of size here. As you can see, only one rotation player that is over 6'8". Their guards at 6'1", 6'3" are smaller. Their wings are smaller, and that's going to hurt them here. That's going to hurt them here against a Marist team that does have a lockdown defense. Overall, 32nd in the country, 46.6% effective field goal percentage. Not only that, but Marist has not allowed more than 70 points in 8 straight games. And the one that they did was against UMBC, and that game went to overtime. So the Red Fox is playing just absolutely lockdown defense. They are just absolutely destroying teams on the interior as well. So you can see here, 9th in 2-point defense. They're especially good around the rim. They're one of the few teams that allows less than 50% around, or almost less than 50% around the rim. And you have a Fairfield team that, while they do shoot the ball better at home, but when I say better, 46.6% versus 45.1 effective field goal percentage. Last 3, and one of those was actually at home to a Merrimack team that sells out to guard the arc and gives up stuff on the interior, to which Fairfield had a height advantage. They put up 54, and they've been shooting 41.7%. Ugly, 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 ugly. So while Marist's offense has been okay, you can see overall effective field goal percentage, they're good. They rely mostly on interior scoring. They're 29th overall in percentage of points that come from 2-point range. So they rely a lot on inside scoring. They rely a lot on getting to the basket and scoring inside. And Fairfield's defense has just been leaking like a sieve for weeks. So for me, there's actually 2 things that I like in this game. The first one, first and foremost, is even though it's kind of that no man's land from a spread perspective for a road team, Marist minus 5.5 still has value to me. I can easily see Marist winning this game by close to double digits. Fairfield is, they're 8-14 overall. They are a lot of their conference wins have come earlier in the year. They've lost 4 of their last 5, as I mentioned, and they're just giving up points in bunches to a Marist team that, again, has not allowed more than 70 points since December 21st, and that was in overtime. They actually haven't allowed more than 70 points in regulation since December 8th. So it's been 2 months since they've allowed more than 70 points in regulation. So I look at for this from the standpoint of, do I think that Fairfield can hold a Marist team that's scoring this effectively on the interior? Do I think that Fairfield can hold this team to, say, 65-ish points, 65, maybe even 70-ish points? I don't know if they can, because everybody's putting up 75 on them. So Marist minus 5.5. The other one that I don't mind at all is just with how Maris's defense is just absolutely locked down and has been for pretty much the last like 2 months. I don't mind. This is on DraftKings right now. The Fairfield team total under 62.5 at -115. Fairfield first half team total under 29.5 might have some value as well. I normally don't go this like crazy over a team on the road in a conference like the MAC, but Fairfield just has all kinds of problems that Maris can exploit here. So Fairfield team totals under, and Marist a -5.5 would be the official free plays. So short show, as I mentioned, that is going to do it for today. There's a bunch of small college action. There's only one top 25 game, which I don't feel has a whole lot of value, which would be Maryland and Ohio State. If you gave me a free play, I would take Ohio State at home. I think the combination of some of the things that they can do offensively can neutralize Maryland's guards. Size-wise, they match up pretty well. And Maryland, I've watched them a couple times, and they do a lot of nice things, but they can get a little Chuck happy. They got Chuck happy the last time I watched them as well. So if you gave me a free play, I would take Ohio State, but it's just a lean. And the rest of the games are a bunch, again, of smaller college games. So that will do it. That will do it for today. I appreciate y'all tuning in for, again, a short show. There's only 7 games tomorrow, so not sure if we'll be back live, but either way, still we'll have a free play for everybody at some point during the day. So please, if you haven't yet, as the banner says, give Win the Day VIP a follow Daily Bread Network, Sosa Picks, myself. Appreciate y'all tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow.